Welcome! Today's presentation will help you understand the impact of mosquito control pesticides upon our honeybees and native bees. I am Michelle Colopy, Executive Director of LEAD for Pollinators. I am going to provide insight to the impact of pesticides, how mosquitoes are managed, and how we can take action to reduce pesticide use and protect our health and protect honeybees and native pollinators. While many people are uncomfortable around insects, insects are integral to a healthy ecosystem. Less than 5% of insects are harmful to humans or crops, yet we kill more than 95% of all insects through blanket applications of pesticides used to control a few pests in an area. For example, research examined 42 commonly used formulations of pesticides upon row crops and found that 3 of the 42 pesticides killed less than 1% of worker bees. These are the honeybees that collect the pollen and nectar and bring it back to the colony of bees. 26 of the insecticides killed more than 99% of bees, and 13 of the chemicals killed anywhere from 1% to 99% of the bees. Bees are gravely impacted by pesticides as they pollinate crops and as they forage on wildflowers near crops. The U.S. Geological Service conducted research of native bees. They found pesticides in more than half of the samples of native bees. Neonicotinoid pesticides were detected, as well as pyrethroids, fungicides, and herbicides. While the levels were not always at a lethal dose level, the sublethal level of pesticide exposure was detrimental to the health and reproduction of the native bees. As pesticides are applied by a backpack sprayer, a truck or tractor sprayer, or by an airplane, pesticides drift. When they drift onto water, and bees do drink water, the pesticides that drifted onto water could kill the bees. When you spray insecticides, fungicides, or herbicides in your yard around your home, the pesticides drift. If pesticides are sprayed before it rains, the pesticides run off your lawn and flow into the storm sewers and into streams, lakes, and rivers. While honeybees have been experiencing a health crisis for nearly a decade, one pest, the varroa mite, is having a greater impact upon bees due to a bee's immune system weakened through exposure to pesticides. Bee health is not failing just because of the varroa mites. Varroa mites are taking advantage of a hive already suffering a weakened immune system from exposure to pesticides and pesticides contaminating or destroying pollinator forage. When we spray a pesticide, we think it is done with that single spray. Per the pesticide label, these chemicals continue to kill long after the single application. The half-life of a pesticide is the amount of time it takes for 50% of the chemical to break down and degrade and become less effective. You can see from this list, pesticides continue to have an impact killing the green leafy plant or the insect long after the initial single application. Let's look at the insecticide malathion. Bacteria and sunlight break it down. When sprayed onto or allowed to drift onto water, it moves quickly across the landscape, and the vapor of malathion, when sprayed, can travel long distances. As the pesticide label states, malathion is highly toxic to bees, some fish, and other aquatic invertebrates. Pesticides that weaken the honeybee's immune system and make them more susceptible to disease come from many directions: through drift, residues, direct spray, and systemic pesticides that are drawn into the plant's system and exuded through the pollen and nectar, making the pollen and nectar of the plant toxic. Pesticides are pervasive and do not stay where they are applied. None of us like to be bitten by mosquitoes, but with 176 species of mosquitoes in North America, you probably will be bitten by mosquitoes. Mosquitoes and insect pollinators have a few things in common. They are soft and squishy, chewing, sucking insects. If you use a pesticide to kill mosquitoes, a soft and squishy, chewing, sucking insect, you will also kill pollinators, which are soft and squishy, chewing, sucking insects. Mosquito control with pesticides becomes even more difficult when most mosquitoes are active after dark. However, Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus are both more likely to be active and bite in the daytime in full sunlight. Aedes aegypti mosquitoes lay their eggs in small artificial or natural containers that hold water. Containers can include dishes under potted plants, bird baths, ornamental fountains, tin cans, or discarded tires. Even a small amount of standing water can produce mosquitoes. About 3 days after feeding on blood, the female lays her egg inside a container just above the water line. Eggs are laid over a period of several days, are resistant to drying, and can survive for periods of 6 or more months. When the container is refilled with water, the eggs hatch into larvae. The entire life cycle, from egg to adult, can occur in as little as 7 to 8 days. The lifespan for adult mosquitoes is around 3 weeks. The Aedes aegypti mosquito bites primarily during the day, both indoors and outdoors. They are most active for approximately 2 hours after sunrise and several hours before sunset, but can bite at night in well-lit areas. Aedes aegypti can bite people without being noticed. This mosquito prefers biting people, but it also bites dogs and other domestic animals, mostly mammals. Current methods used for both immature and adult mosquito control have limited effectiveness. An integrated mosquito control program includes adding structural barriers such as screens and enclosed air-conditioned spaces, larval mosquito control using different methods for the habitat, adult mosquito control using insecticides, sterilization of male mosquitoes released into the environment, or infecting mosquitoes with a deadly bacteria and releasing them into the environment. In one state, over $2 million was spent on insecticide applications to kill mosquitoes, which was only 32% effective at killing mosquitoes. $2 million for 32% effectiveness is not a good use of taxpayer funds. However, the most effective controls start with us through community education efforts related to preventing mosquito bites by wearing EPA-registered insect repellents and protective clothing, like long-sleeve shirts and long pants, and eliminating mosquito habitats, such as discarded containers and rain gutters that hold standing water. While education is the most effective control, the least amount of money is spent on this. Another of the 176 species of mosquitoes in North America is active at dusk and after dark. The Culex mosquitoes can transmit the West Nile virus. Culex mosquitoes also develop in standing water and go from egg to adult in 8 to 10 days. They feed on birds, infecting them or becoming infected with the virus, and then the Culex mosquito can spread West Nile virus to humans or to horses. If mosquitoes do not have standing water in which to lay their eggs, we will have less mosquitoes. Through man-made development, we create mosquito habitat around our homes and in our communities. However, not all mosquitoes transmit diseases. Mosquitoes are also pollinators and food for tadpoles, fish, birds, bats, and other mosquitoes. The Aedes species and Culex species of mosquitoes are not native to North America. These invasive species brought with them the ability to transmit 6 diseases. The most prevalent disease transmitted by native mosquitoes is heartworm, which infects dogs and cats. So please protect your pets from mosquitoes by talking with your veterinarian and take actions to reduce the mosquito habitat around your home. We can protect public health and protect pollinators. With 3,000 species of mosquitoes worldwide, only a few hundred feed on human blood. The mosquitoes use natural and artificial containers that hold water, such as used tires, plastic buckets, kids' toys left outside, gutters that do not drain, bird baths that are not cleaned and emptied daily, stagnant ponds, and tree holes in which to lay their eggs. They thrive in small containers of standing, stagnant water. Control of mosquito-borne diseases is dependent on preventing mosquitoes from breeding around our homes. Female mosquitoes can produce 100 to 300 eggs at one time, and the eggs can hatch into mosquito larvae within 48 hours. For about a week to 10 days, the larvae will grow before changing into a pupa until finally emerging as an adult mosquito about 2 days later. Within 14 days, you have an entirely new generation of mosquitoes ready to start the cycle all over again. When we plant a healthy landscape, we will reduce the breeding of disease-carrying mosquitoes. Planting pollinator habitat welcomes natural mosquito predators like damselflies and dragonflies and songbirds. Of the 176 species of mosquitoes in North America, 23 species may be vectors of disease. But know that several flowers are pollinated by mosquitoes, including some members of the Asteraceae, Rosaceae, and Orchidaceae species of mosquitoes. Not all mosquitoes are bad. They have a place in a balanced ecosystem. Humans are responsible for mosquito outbreaks when we create an imbalance in the ecosystem. Breeding sites are key to reducing mosquito habitat of disease-bearing mosquitoes. If we truly practice integrated pest management, then the use of pesticides, chemical controls, should be only 1/10 of the process. It should be the last resort. If we trap and test mosquitoes, researching if any are acting as a disease vector, if we spot treat an area looking for the breeding areas of disease-bearing mosquitoes, if we all work together to eliminate standing water and support healthy wetlands, swamps, ponds, lakes, and rivers with a balanced and healthy diversity of life, we will keep mosquito-bearing disease under control. Blanket applications of pesticides from airplanes, truck sprayers, backpack sprayers, and foggers are not the solution and are not effective. A healthy and diverse ecosystem provides biological controls, from bats and birds to spiders, beetles, and other mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are part of a balanced, healthy environment. Let's look at another insecticide used on mosquitoes. The active ingredient of this product is the chemical Naled. Its label clearly states the environmental hazard of this insecticide. All pesticide labels have an environmental hazard statement telling you the risks of using this pesticide upon non-target organisms. The label for this product containing Naled clearly states, this product is highly toxic to bees exposed to direct treatment on blooming crops or weeds. Therefore, this product should not be applied onto or allowed to drift upon any plants in bloom or you will kill bees. Except pesticide labels may also contain the public health exemption allowing it to be used to prevent or control a threat to public or animal health. When the exception is enacted, the Mosquito Control District, the government, can spray this insecticide whenever and wherever it wants to. Naled causes the insect's nerves to continuously fire. Usually this firing is stopped chemically inside the insect, but a breakdown product of Naled prevents enzymes in the insect from working correctly. The insect's nerves are then stimulated constantly, and the insect spasms itself to death. As Naled starts to break down, it becomes the chemical dichlorvose. Dichlorvose is corrosive to iron and steel. It may attack materials such as plastics, rubber, and coatings. Other metals, such as stainless steel, aluminum, and nickel, are resistant to the impact of dichlorvose if no water is present. Dichlorvose increases the effects of the insecticide malathion and may be combined in a tank mix with it. Dichlorvose is a metabolite of Naled and has been classified as a possible carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Naled has been found in human umbilical cords after birth, but it has not been shown to affect human genes. The EPA has not yet tested Naled for its potential to disrupt endocrine function. This degradate of Naled is more toxic to aquatic life by 5 to 150 times. And as Naled is toxic to bees, so is its degradate, dichlorvose. While pesticide labels list directions for use of the product, humans are bad at following directions. Instead of spraying standing water, it would be healthier to mitigate the standing water. The community would save money through less use of pesticides by adjusting that ditch so the water effectively drains out of it. Instead of applying pesticides to non-blooming weeds, mow the area or plant pollinator habitat instead. Sunlight breaks down many chemicals, so the application becomes quickly ineffective, again wasting taxpayer funds and increasing the risks to beneficial insects. Applying pesticides during the day toward the trees when birds, on which mosquitoes feed, are not roosting in the trees and the target mosquitoes are not active is also a waste of taxpayer funds, as well as being ineffective at controlling mosquitoes. While many states now have Field Watch as a place to register the sites of organic farms, sensitive crops, and a beekeeper's honeybees, it is a voluntary notification system. Mosquito spraying notifications to beekeepers and organic farms is not required. The pesticide application notification through this system is only for organic farms and for beekeepers under contract for pollination services in or near a crop receiving a pesticide application. But again, it is a voluntary notification system only. In most state pollinator plans, beekeepers are expected to move their bees out of the way of any pesticide application. Even if a state has an apiary registration program and the state knows the location of a beekeeper's hives, according to the law, when mosquito control pesticides are applied, the government needs to only provide a public notice of spraying. Placing a notice on the county website is a public notice. A single public notice in the local newspaper stating the city will spray for mosquitoes between May and October also meets the letter of the law. If you are a beekeeper, gardener, farmer, and you experience a bee kill due to pesticide exposure, please report your losses. The impact of pesticides to our pollinators, to birds, fish, and other wildlife will only be known if we report it. If you see it, say something. The Honeybee Health Coalition has a quick guide to reporting a bee kill that lists the contact information in each state to report a bee kill or other loss from pesticides. You can also report an environmental incident due to pesticides to the National Pesticide Information Center, or NPIC. And lastly, you can always email the EPA directly at beekill@epa.gov. We can protect public health and protect pollinators. Meet with your public health department. Learn what mosquito control chemicals they are using. Are the chemicals effective? How can you help educate your community to reduce mosquito habitat? Does your community trap and test mosquitoes? Not all communities do that, and yet trapping and testing tells you if there are disease-carrying mosquitoes. Why use pesticides upon mosquitoes if they are not carrying a disease? Applying pesticides when they are not needed simply builds up resistance to the chemicals in mosquitoes and kills beneficial insects and pollutes our water, soil, and air. Mosquito control is the responsibility of all of us. We can take action to protect our health, protect our communities, and protect pollinators. We have to take action. How we can help pollinators. We can remove standing water from around our homes so mosquitoes cannot breed. We must be the voice for beneficial insects like our honeybees and native pollinators, protecting them from the impact of pesticides. We should read pesticide labels before you buy them. Read the environmental hazard statement on that pesticide label before you buy the chemicals. Get the pesticide label from any lawn or pesticide company you may hire and read it. Not all natural products are really natural. Read the label for yourself. Don't just blindly believe a sales pitch. You can educate yourself, your neighbors, and your community through encouraging the planting of pollinator habitat, collaborating with gardeners, health advocates, organic farmers, and others to protect pollinators through science-based, cost-effective mosquito management. Thank you for joining me to learn how we can all work together to value and protect a balanced, diverse ecosystem and our honeybees and native pollinators. You can learn more about the work of Lead for Pollinators on our website and Facebook page. Together, we can protect public health and protect pollinators.